You're listening to the Studyclix Podcast, your number one source for junior cycle and Leaving Cert tips. We make exams easier. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Studyclix Podcast. Today, we're going to be talking all things CAO, and we've got a CAO expert on the podcast who's been on many times before. It's my first time meeting him, and it is the very famous Donnchadh O'Mahony. How are you, Donnchadh?
I'm very good, Andy, and thanks to Studyclix for having me back on again.
Not at all. You're always a great guest. And I was meant to be joined by my usual partner in crime, Erin, but sadly she is sick today and her voice is completely gone. So we've got the next best thing, which is a veteran of the podcast. You should all know her if you've listened years ago, or even here and there. Nessa, welcome back.
Hi, Andy. Hi, Donnchadh. Thank you so much. I was going to say thank you for having me on, but someone needed to fill in last minute. And I was like, well, I know Donnchadh quite well from having interviewed him a few times. So I guess I make the most sense as someone to fill in last minute. And we're sending all our good wishes to Erin. We hope she gets well
Yes,
soon.
absolutely. Nessa is another expert in the CAO.
I suppose by like the amount of times I've spoken to Donnchadh, I probably should be at this stage
Well,
if
you know
I'm
what?
retaining.
Nessa and her sister, I did a couple of podcasts with,
Yeah.
and those guys really know what they're talking about. And even from their own experience, they're very interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, we spoke about every podcast had a study plan in it, and we're just like, well, we really know our study plans inside out at this stage. But anyway, Donnchadh, thank you so much for coming on once again, because we have you on this week because the week that this podcast is going out is the week that the online application facility opens for the CAO 2026. So anyone who wants to apply for the CAO next year would want to know how to do that. So I guess we'll just start out with the very basics of like someone who's applying for the CAO this year. What is it that they need to do? What's the website? What details do they need? All that jazz.
Yeah, so it opens up on the 5th of November at 12 noon. So that's the big one. And you go on to cao.ie and you can just hit apply. It's really, really easy. Actually, it's very simple. And I've done applications with different students for colleges around the world. But for me, this is the most simple you can do. I would recommend on the 5th of November or that week, even just open up your account. You don't have to worry about putting down courses or anything. Opening up the account early is important because if you're applying for, say, the HPAT here, there, if you're applying for any scholarships or anything like that, you will need your CAO number to make applications to those things too. So set up your account early. If you're worried about the CAO application form, you can actually do a demo application, which is on the CAO website as well. If you even Google just CAO demo application, and you can go in and test it out and see what it's like and see what you need to have on hand on the day you're going to open up. But it's all fairly straightforward. I'd say 5-10 minutes max, and you'll have your account opened up.
A lot of people fall into the trap of getting worried about putting things that they think are unattainable at the top of their list. And I suppose, what's your opinion on that, Donnchadh? I know you've got a fairly strong opinion on that. Do you want to share that with us?
Yeah, Nessa's heard me saying this a few times before, but I have a little formula kind of based on experience
Okay.
of working with students. So I would say put down 3 dream courses,
Mm-hmm.
and then you're looking at 5 probable courses and 2 backup courses. So your 3 dream courses, forget about points. If points weren't an issue, what would I absolutely love to put down? And then your 5 probable, we'll say for your summer 5th year, your 6th year Christmas, your mocks, whatever, you've been in around 450 points. Then your probable will be in around that area. And then your 2 backups will be significantly less than that, just in case. So you'll have an offer anyway. So kind of based on, like I said, anecdotal evidence and working with students. Like I remember one of my first years as a guidance counselor, a student told me she really wanted to do physiotherapy,
Mm-hmm.
but the course was 560 points the previous year. Now she said she was around the 500 point mark. So I kind of said, look, it's your decision, whatever you think. She ended up getting 550 points in the Leaving Cert, and physiotherapy that year actually came down to 550.
Okay.
So she was raging that she didn't have it down. So that's why I say put your dream courses down.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then, of course, I've met students who've only got courses over the 500 mark. I know a student who got 575 and got no offer. Is the first five were medicine, next two were dentistry. I think the next couple were other health sciences that were very
Wow.
high, and she ended up not getting. So your backup courses are just important. So there's 1,500 courses on the CAO. I find it hard to believe
Loads.
students say to me, "I can't find 10 that I really want to do."
Hmm.
Absolutely, you should be able to find 10, and even with a couple of breaks. I know Christmas break coming up, or just spend a couple of hours set aside to say, right, I'm going to do some research for the CEO.
And it's something kind of similarly along those lines, but I see it, and I'm sure you get messages about it too when the first round offers come out for the CAO, and you get people being like, "Oh, I got offered my third, but I would really have loved my fourth." And at that stage, like that's where I'm kind of like, I hope the people who are applying for the CAO now are really hearing that message of put it down in the genuine order that you want to be
Hmm.
offered those courses.
So, genuine order of preference is one of the most important things you'll hear on this podcast. So, you're saying to the CEO, if I get the points, here's the course I want to be offered first. If I
Mm.
don't get the points for that, here's the course I want to be offered second, and so on down to number 10. Now you can't, as you said, Nessa, say be offered your third choice and turn around and say, well, actually, I'd like my fourth choice. I got the points for that. I have the entry requirements because that course has been offered to somebody else. It's not that the CEO are being mean and don't want to offer it to you.
Hmm.
It's literally being offered to somebody else. Places are so competitive on the CEO. So you have to be really careful of how you put your courses in order of preference. One of the most important things you'll hear tonight.
I suppose you touched on there one of your students who obviously expected physiotherapy to be 560, and then the year after was 550. And I know when I was in school, I didn't really know. Luckily, I went for something that didn't actually really require any points at all. It was audition based, so that wasn't really an experience of mine. But I know a lot of people don't really know why the points fluctuate like that. And do you know the kind of reasoning behind that?
Yeah, absolutely. So, and again, it's a question I get asked every year. What are the points going to be? If I say, look, there's a new course coming out, someone will message me, what are the points going to be for that? I haven't a
The big
clue. And
crystal
here's
ball.
why I don't have.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's say, for example, there's 50 places on a
Hmm.
course and 200 students apply for that course. So, what they'll do is everybody who's had the entry requirements, they'll put them in an order of merit list from 1 to 200. The top 50 of those, based on points, will get offered a place in the course. So the first person who applied for the course, who has the most points, say they got 65, they'll get the first offer of the place in the course. The last place, the 50th, let's say they had 450 points.
Hmm.
The points you see advertised in the CEO website or the newspaper or Career Sport or whatever, well, that means the last person who got a place on the course, that's the points they have. So unless I know everybody who's applied for the course, and what they got in their leaving cert, I can't tell you what the points are going to be. Even people who work at the CAO won't know until first round offers really come out what the points are going to be.
Yeah.
So it's based entirely on that year. And there's so much more even to go into it than just a leaving cert because you have UK applicants, you have European applicants, mature PLC, QQI applicants. There's loads of different types of applicants. So there's so much to go into it that it's impossible to determine. Now you can see from previous years if there's been a theme, like there is a theme of courses that are generally high in points. But and again, CAO is often determined by what's going on in the world. Like in 2022, there was huge news about climate change. So environmental science and sustainability courses rose really high.
Hmm.
In 2020 and 2021 with COVID, nursing and doctor courses and medicine courses, sorry, went really, really high. During the recession, engineering and construction courses plummeted in points. So a lot of what's going on in the news and all actually has a huge impact on how students pick their CEO courses as well.
Yeah,
Hmm.
100%. And actually, you kind of touched on it there, like when people ask you, like, what's the points for this course? And it's a brand new course that no one, that there's never been any points for before. And I asked you the same question recently on the podcast only a few weeks ago when we were talking about the CAO offers. But are there any interesting new courses that you've seen, say, maybe in the last 2 or 3 years that maybe students haven't been aware of because they're not the traditional courses like teaching, engineering, like these new jobs and courses and industries that are being created
Yeah,
every day.
loads. So even in DCU last year, brought in chemistry with AI. You could
Wow.
imagine how important both of those go together.
Hmm.
And there's loads of new courses for 2026. Law with cybersecurity and UL is another kind of future-proof degree where lawyers, solicitors, barristers, whatever, are going to have an area of expertise on cybersecurity and understanding ethics and laws behind that. And there's this huge drive then as well for health science courses. Of course, UL will have a brand new medicine degree in 2026. They'll have a speech and language therapy degree for 2026 as well. We're trying to fill gaps in the employment market in Ireland by putting on more of these courses, and hopefully the points, because we'll have more places, will come down a little bit and be more attainable for a lot of students. But yes, lots of exciting new courses. Even TU Dublin brought in computer science with AI as well. So all very exciting, all kind of future proofing people for coming out at the end of 3-4 year degree.
Hmm. And for all those
Yeah.
new degrees which haven't had previous points tallies, I'm assuming the same advice stands. Just put it at the top if that's what you absolutely want to do. Keep it at the top of your order of preference.
Exactly, because you just don't know.
Yeah.
And people say supply and demand as well, but some courses with really, really high points will only have a small amount of places, and that's why the points are so high. So if you've only 15 places and you've 400 people applying for it, the points are going to be really high. In fact, the most applied for course on the CAO, and the course that gets the most first preferences of any other course in the CAO, is 300 points, and that's Arts and Maynooth. And the reason it's 300 points is because they have 1,500 places on it. So they're able to go down their order of merit list a good bit. So just because the points are high doesn't mean the course is any better or more popular. It just means probably they have a very small amount of places.
Yeah, absolutely. I remember my own course actually that I did in UL was like the lowest entry requirement of any UL course, but it was a computer science course, and my memory of it is that it was actually not that easy. So yeah,
Yeah, it doesn't mean easy just because
Yeah.
the
yeah.
points are low. Particularly with computer science, engineering, all have a big dropout rate because people don't realize the level of maths that's required for it as well.
Mm. Yeah, I think that was a common like that was the misconception when we were in school, like, oh, the medicine and the dentistry points and veterinary, that's all really high because you need to be very intelligent to get those points. Like that people just associated points with difficulty, where it's really more supply and demand. You mentioned people from abroad applying for the Irish system, the CAO, but there's probably some people listening to this who mightn't be applying to the CAO. They might be wanting to apply to a university in the UK or somewhere else in Europe. What should they start? Like, what do they need to research if that's what they want to do?
Yeah, so the UK is becoming really, really popular among Irish students. In fact, Ireland is number 4 in countries with the most applicants applying to the UK. So we're only
Wow.
behind China, India, and the US.
Wow.
And then it's Ireland with about 6,000 students every year apply to the UK. But more and more Republic of Ireland students are applying for Northern Ireland. So the government are starting to make it really easy for students to apply to Ulster. Would be that Queen's or Ulster University or St Mary's, whatever it is up there.
Hmm.
But the Irish government have even made huge investments in courses up there and colleges up there, so Irish students and make that really easy to make that application and to transfer Leaving Cert results and everything into UCAS requirements. So the UK is becoming really, really popular, but particularly Northern Ireland. Now that's a 14th of January deadline. So if you're interested in applying for that, the application very different to the CAO. It's not going to be 5 or 10 minutes. It's a serious application. You have to have a personal statement, predicted grades, a reference. You have to know how you're going to be paying for your fees, things like that. So give that a good bit of time because other people will have to get involved in that application, and they don't want to be told last minute either. And then Europe is very popular among Irish students as well, because it's quite cheap and the entry requirements are a good bit lower in the EU as well. So we see a huge amount of Irish students. And just be aware, there's no real central application system in Europe, like the CEO or like UCAS. You'll be applying maybe directly to the university, and they all have different deadline dates and all. So whatever you're thinking about, just keep an eye on those deadline dates.
Leaving Cert Maths doesn't have to be a struggle. With over 500 step-by-step video lessons, exam-style questions, and expert marking advice, Studyclix Boost makes higher and ordinary level maths manageable. Get guided support on algebra, calculus, probability, and more, all at a fraction of the cost of grinds. And right now, you can get €10 off with the code podcast10. Go to studyclix.ie and start making maths easier today.
The CAO opens on the 5th of November, and you said maybe just open an account. And there'll be a lot of people listening to this, so maybe us talking about this might even make them start to panic because they have absolutely no idea what they want to do or what route they want to go down. So they've got a lot of time still. What's the best advice you'd say to stop people from panicking, and where would you maybe start? Like, where would you start looking? What's the best way to go about that?
Absolutely no need to panic, and I really want to reassure you
Mhm.
that because you have up until the 1st of February, first of all, to put in restricted courses. So restricted courses have to be on your CAO account by the 1st of
Okay.
February. And that is anything that requires an additional entry assessment. So, for example, medicine would have the HPAT, or you said earlier, Andy, about an audition for your course. That would be a restricted course, or a portfolio, or something like that. That would all be restricted courses. And there's only about 90 restricted courses out of the 1,500 on the CAO. But if
Yeah.
you're thinking about applying for a restricted course and you're not 100% sure, I would say apply for it. Put it on your list.
Okay.
Because when the change of mind facility opens up in May, where you can go back in, make as many different changes as you want right up until the 1st of July, you cannot put in restricted courses at that stage. You can take them out, but you can't put them in. So if you're
Okay.
50-50, I'd put it in before the 1st of February, and then you can always take it out in the change of mind facility.
Okay.
So you really have until the 1st of July. So you could sit your Leaving Cert and come out and think, I aced everything. I'm definitely going to put down all of these different courses now. And you can absolutely do that
Yeah.
and go ahead and do that. But like I was saying earlier, you need to give time to really research.
Mhm.
Right now, we're in the middle of open day season. Get to the colleges, ask your questions, talk to student ambassadors, talk to lecturers, see if you get a feel for the campus. Like, I go to campuses all around Ireland every year, and I always get the sense, yeah, I could actually see myself studying here.
Mhm.
Or no, I don't think this is my vibe at all. It's not really my sort of place. And you really get that when you're on the campus. Go there, look at, like, say, for example, I did a history degree, and say Nessa did her computer science degree. Just because it says computer science in UL and computer science in Trinity or UCD, they could be completely different courses. When I studied history, some courses had ancient history and medieval history. I had no interest in that at all. I wanted to do modern European and Irish history. So I had to look for a course for that. They'll have the same title, they'll be history degrees, but they'll be completely different. And they might have completely different specializations. If you pick an engineering degree, in one college it could be civil engineering, mechanical engineering. In another college it could be chemical engineering, it could be electronic, electrical, you name it. So you have to really look at the nitty gritty of the degree to see what it has. A lot of students want to do Erasmus or study abroad. Will the course offer that?
Mhm.
Will it offer a paid internship or work placement? You have to have a look at that. What do graduates typically do with this degree? And again, you'll find out all of those things on the open day as well. So really try and get out to those open days and find out as much as you can about the courses.
Mhm.
Yeah. Something I'd say to that as well is if you start having an inkling of what course you might want to do, try and find people who are on it,
Yes.
or
Mhm.
that like asking someone who is on it, they will give you like real down to earth advice. Because I remember I had like a sister of when like I was 2 years into my course, and then my roommate's sister was doing her leaving cert that year, and she wanted to know, and I was like, yeah, she can, message me with all her questions. So like I was really happy to be that person for someone else.
But you can ask questions to that person that you couldn't really ask a lecturer. Like, I
Yeah.
could say to you,
Exactly.
"What's the timetable like? Is it 9 to 5? I don't know if that's for me. What are the assessments like? Is it really hard? Do I need to be really good at maths for this particular course? I'm not really," so you can ask those questions. You can't go up to a lecturer and say, "Is there a lot of work in it? This is
Yeah.
not gonna look good." But you can certainly ask, as somebody who's on the course, "Look, what does it entail?" So yes, Nessa, I would 100% agree with that. Great advice.
Yeah. Something else, well, I would say, yeah, I did reach out once I had an inkling. At the start of the sixth year, I had an inkling of what course I wanted to do. And I saw on the prospectus or the website for UL the course director in her email. So I just emailed her to see if there was, I can't even remember what questions I asked her, but just if there was any more information she could give me. And she told me there was a taster course. There was going to be a day long workshop in UL with like different classes that would give a taster of what the course is going to be like. There was going to be like a graphic design class for an hour, and then there was going to be like a UX UI design class for another. And then it was after that day, I was like, my mind is totally made up.
Mhm.
I love that day. This is what I want to do. So
I
use
love the
every
fact you went
resource.
straight to the top person on the course. No
Yeah.
messing with you. Who's the top dog? I'm emailing them straight away.
And very unlike me. I was a very nervous teenager, so very. It was a good kind of out of characteristic thing for me to do, and it worked out very well for me. And yeah, I love my course. It was great. But yeah, I was kind of fortunate that I was in sixth year, start of sixth year, starting to kind of get a sense of what I wanted to do. But if there is someone who just like is in this stage now, they're doing the Leaving Cert in a few months, and they just have no clue what it is they want to do after. Like they haven't a notion. What advice would you give to someone in that position?
Yeah, and it is tricky, and there's so many students in that position, and you're not alone. And look, you could do something very general, and there's loads of postgrads, masters, graduate internships afterwards that you could still do. Like, just because you've done one foundation degree doesn't mean you're stuck with that. Like I said, I did a history degree. I would say 90% of my friends from that degree are in completely different jobs that have nothing got to do with history, but they have that grounding, that basis. And most jobs that are advertised now will ask you to have a level 8 degree. I'm not really concerned what the level 8 degree is in, as long as you have that certain level of education. But I'm going to give a shameless plug, Nessa. If you're
Go for it.
really unsure, I designed findmycollegecourse.ie. It's an interest test specifically based on students using their Leaving Cert to apply to the CAO. And you'll go on and you do an interest test of 132 questions based on all the different course categories on the CAO. You put in your Leaving Cert subjects, what predicted grades you're going to think you're going to get, where you'd like to study, whether you have an Irish or language exemption. So there'll be lots of different questions like that. And then based on your interest, based on your points and subjects that you're doing, you'll get a list of courses that would be open to you. Now, if you don't have a H4 in chemistry and that's a requirement for the course, you won't get that as an option.
Mhm.
If you
Okay.
said you only want to study in Dublin, well, then you're not going to get courses from outside of Dublin. If it's not in your interest, you're not going to get that either. So it's very specific to the CAO, and it's being used by a lot of students, thankfully. Up until now, we've had great feedback from it. Basically, it's like an in-depth session with a guidance counselor.
Yeah.
So that's what I wanted to do. And people pay a huge amount of money to go to a private guidance counselor.
Mhm.
And that's what I want to do. What do I do in a session? How can I let everybody access that? And these are essentially all the questions I would ask a student in a guidance session. And they're essentially all the options I would give them then at the end. And then you can even put in your order of preference, put in your top 10 list. And you can change that throughout the year. That account is yours. Now, you can't do the interest test again, but everything else you can say, I'm going to get more points, I'm going to get less points. I actually think I'm getting a H5 in chemistry now, not a H4. You can change it all around and see what the other courses might be on offer to you. So I think it's pretty good, and thankfully we've had great feedback on it so far.
Wow. That's a tool that I absolutely would have loved.
I was gonna say that's the same kind of entrepreneurship that Studyclix was built on as well, Donnchadh. Like, why doesn't this
They are,
already
yeah,
exist? I'm gonna make
it's
it.
great. It's great. And look, I do have to say I work with students every day, and the number one go to when I say what Studyclix was my best friend in sixth year. And that's
Oh,
not saying
amazing.
for Studyclix either. Everybody says that.
Mhm.
And it's very different as unique Studyclix is. And that's, I think, it's not a grind essentially. It's so unique to what the students really
Yeah.
need. And yeah, anyone I've interviewed even for the podcast, we interview students every year who got 625. And generally the consensus is Studyclix was my best friend in sixth year. I think, oh, that's kind of,
It's so nice. My favorite time of year when I've been working for Cyclics for a few years now, and my favorite time of year is always when Leaving Cert results come out. Because like the people who feel like Cyclics really helped them, like they take the time to send a message and be like, wow, like I really wouldn't have done it without you guys. And I'm like, thank you. I feel
Yeah.
I'll take all the credit as
yeah.
the social media manager.
My TikToks, put them over, just help them that extra.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there
Yeah.
you go. Yeah. Well, actually, now that you mention your TikToks, Andy, I see like you had crazy amount of views just before the Leaving Cert and over the Leaving Cert as well. I think it was something like 7 million in a month.
Yeah, I don't know.
Oh yeah, you're following us on LinkedIn, are you,
Yes,
Donnchadh?
yeah,
Yes.
that's where I started. Yeah.
That was my little humble brag. I'm like becoming
Oh,
a
very
LinkedIn
well. It was
person,
great. Yeah, big time.
taking credit for Andy's work.
Well, I was going to ask Andy what his degree was because he did say he had an audition for as part of his
Yes, he
entry.
did. I mean, I'm studying musical theatre here in Cork School of Music. Which is interesting because when I was looking at what to do, like everybody naturally thinks London, 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 and then obviously that's become so expensive with Brexit and everything like that. And luckily, this course, I'm sure as you're aware, only opened up about 6 or 7 years ago. So we were the last year to actually. They'd only 3 years, so we were the year that made it a full 4 years across the board. And so it was obviously a very scary thing and a big risk, and especially being from Dublin as well. That's why I think your tool for finding courses is so great. Because if there was one thing I could tell all my friends from Dublin and lots of people in Dublin is to look outside Dublin, because I feel people get stuck in this bubble. And obviously, there's a thing to be said of staying with your parents and for the financial side of that. But I think that I'm interested to know if you were trying to say to people, especially from Dublin, but from people in general, if they're in one county and they want to look at studying somewhere else in Ireland. Like for me, that was something that was daunting a bit or overwhelming because I didn't know where to start, what county to start in, or what college to look at first. Do you have any advice for going about that?
Well, I actually did it myself, and I think I got the full college experience because I moved out
Exactly
and
the same,
from
yeah.
home, just moved in with friends, which was I thought was amazing.
Hmm.
I really loved every minute of it. But I do understand that we're in different times now where accommodation is really difficult,
Yeah.
and I work with students, and we do have to look at courses that look. If we can't get accommodation around this college, is it commutable? Is it within that hour and 15 minutes? And that's the way students are looking at things now, which is unfortunate. But I would say if you have the opportunity, I think it gives you the full college
Hmm.
experience, living away from home, surviving on beans and toast, and hanging out with friends at all hours of the morning, and going into lectures hungover and all that. That's all part of college life.
Yeah.
Mm.
Having friends over, so all of that. I think it's amazing. If it's not a financial difficulty,
Hmm.
if there isn't an issue with um, accommodation and the cost of accommodation, where you'd like to go, I couldn't recommend it enough. I think you just get that full experience of college, and it really sets you up for the real world that you're going to
Absolutely.
enter in 3 or 4 years' time anyway.
Donica, coming back then, actually, I was trying to think of other parts of the CAO that people might need to know about. Can you tell us about anyone who's applying for the SUSI grants? What do they need to know?
So the SUSI grants won't open until April. But if you want to know if you'd be eligible for it or not, there's a really good resource on their website called the SUSI Grant Reckoner. And you can go on and put in your details, and they'll say, yes, it's possible you could make an application and there might be something there for you. So that's really good, but it won't be till April. However, if you're applying for here and there, so disability access route and education and higher education access route, they actually have a different deadline this year for the first time in years. So you have to be really careful with this one.
Interesting.
It used to be the 15th of March. You had to have all your documentation into the CAO, but now it's the 10th of March because they're kind of overwhelmed with the amount of applications they're getting now, and need those few extra days to process everything. So I don't know if you guys know, but last year there was a huge increase in the amount of applications to the CAO, close to 90,000
Wow.
applicants, because everyone was kind of saying, the points went down. How did the points, or sorry, the grade inflation went down a bit? How did points not go down? And the reason for that really was there was almost 7,000 additional applicants to the CAO. And this is coming from a baby boom that happened in 2007, 8, 9, and this is all
Wow.
coming into effect now. So it is. So there are likely be a good few applicants to the CAO this year as well. So just keep an eye out for important dates, as they're really, really big thing, and talk to your guidance counselor. Your guidance counselor is an amazing resource. Follow Leaving Cert Guidance if you want. We always put up deadlines that are coming up and what's going on. So just keep an eye out for everything like that.
Yeah, brilliant. And I know they're not part of the CAO, but can you tell us a little bit about PLCs?
Well, that's actually a good thing that you mentioned that at the start. They're not part of the CAO because students
Mm.
actually get confused. And they would often say to me, do I apply for PLCs through the CAO as well? And the answer to that is no. They generally open up in January and you apply directly to the College of Further Education that you're applying to. Really good. Every guidance counselor will say they're amazing. The statistics show that they're amazing, that, you end up having more chance to graduate from third level if you've done a PLC and all this. So I would say absolutely a PLC is great because it gives you those skills that are required at third level. Some people might be really honest with themselves and think, I'm not mature enough to go to college yet. I'm going to take this year. Some people may have not have got the points and they're using this. So the PLC, you kind of either go into the world of work or you reapply to the CEO is generally what you use the PLC for. Now, with the PLC, there's no guarantee that you'd get a place in college when you apply the following year. However, there are brand new tertiary degrees that came out. They're almost 3 years old now. They have 40 degrees you can apply for, no CAO points required. You start off in a PLC, College of Further Education, and you're guaranteed your progression onto university. So, for example, some of the courses are 4 years. You do 2 years in a PLC and 2 years in a college. But the 2 years you do in PLC, you don't pay any fees. And in
Wow.
the 2 years you're in
Nice.
college, you pay your fees. So, tertiary degrees are an amazing opportunity. Have a look at those. It's nto.ie. It'll show you all the courses, and you have brilliant courses like occupational therapy, you've nursing, you've business, computer science, media, you name it, and they'll have it on it. But tertiary degrees guarantee you that progression from a PLC.
Brilliant. And yeah, I would just say that like any links that we've mentioned, like the link is ngo.ie, is it that you said, Donica?
NTO. T.
Yeah.
NTO,
Yeah.
NGO is actually totally
Yeah.
different.
National Tertiary Office.
Any links mentioned, we'll put them in the episode notes so you don't have to go looking it up. So Donica's website, findmycollegecourse.ie, and the links to his socials as well. Because I would mention that you're well worth a follow on social,
Absolutely.
Donica. Like on top of being, you're very on top of the trends, and like you're an
Oh, yeah.
entertaining follow. Is it like not just educational? You're similar to Studyclix. Like we live to entertain and to educate.
Yeah.
You'd be surprised, being a middle-aged man, I actually get great fun out of TikTok trends and seeing other people's trends and think, oh, that would be hilarious if I did that. So you actually get great fun out of it. And Andy, of course, as well, inspires me to do a lot of different trends too.
I loved your one. I was watching it earlier. Seeing the new building in IADT. Loved the way you edited that and voiced over. Was it
The
IADT?
day in the
Yeah.
life.
Yeah. No, I
It
loved it.
was
Yeah.
IIDD, and a fabulous new building there. I was so impressed with
Hmm.
it. Again, like a college that might be on the forefront of everyone's mind, but like everyone just thinks it's an art and graphic design college, but they actually have psychology, they have
Hmm.
business, English, media. Like the National Film School of Ireland is based there in IIDT. So if you're a film, television, or media student, it's the most amazing facilities you could look at. But they have a brand new building there. I have to say, I love going around to universities. I love seeing taxpayers' money spent so well on these
Yes.
facilities for the next generation of students going in.
Hmm.
So yeah, like I was saying earlier, get onto the campus and have a look at what they have to offer. You'll be shocked. And even like clubs and societies, we always say when you settle into college are great things to join. I'm sure Andy and Nessa joined some societies, but even like they have Harry Potter
Hmm.
societies, they have
Everything.
tea drinking
Yeah.
societies, knitting societies, you name it. Everyone just seems to think, oh, it's football or rugby or hockey in college, but they have something for everybody. And you will find your tribe in college, which I see a lot of people on TikTok saying, they're finding it hard starting out, but you will get there. This is the hard part, the first few weeks, but you'll start to find your tribe in college.
Yeah, college was an amazing experience for me because I come from like a very rural town in West Cork, and my entire I shock some people when I say this, like my entire Leaving Cert year was 24 people.
Wow.
Hey,
Yeah, the
that is
school has
small.
it's small. Yeah, we all knew each other. The honors maths class was literally like a broom cupboard. Like there was 10 of us. It was like it wasn't supposed to be a classroom. They just converted it into one for us. It was a small class, and then I went on to UL, and I think it's like there was 13,000 or something first years in UL. And it was just a whole new world, and like moving to the city, Limerick City as well was just it was it was amazing experience. So that's yeah, well, coming back to that advice about like I went to the open day and I was like, I can really see myself here for the next 4 years.
Hmm.
Oh,
So yeah,
UL is so cool. It's such a cool. Everything is on the campus. There's not buildings spread all around, and the facilities, particularly if you're into sport at all, UL have the most amazing facilities. Their 50-meter pool, their athletics track, everything about UL is very cool. If you haven't been on it, I do know they've an open day in January as well. If you missed the October one, but yeah, very cool campus.
I suppose everyone, like, there'll be people listening to this who won't go to like big colleges and stuff, but colleges
And that's
wherever you
important too,
go.
Nessa,
Yeah.
actually, what you're saying there. Some people love the anonymity of a college that has 30,000 students, but some like the smaller college where they get to know everyone and they're not so overwhelmed. And again, you have to figure out which is best for you. Would you prefer a smaller college or a larger college? And that's a big question to ask yourself as well.
So, Donnchadh, is there any questions that you often get asked by sixth years, or what are the most common questions you're asked that someone who might be sitting listening to this podcast now was wishing that they could get the answer to? What are the kind of most frequent things you're asked?
So, just take your time with everything and really research. You still have the time now to research. But if I was to give some advice, so earlier we said order of preference was a big one. The second thing I would say to you about the CAO is don't ignore any correspondence. So you'll get
Yes.
emails from the CAO. Take 2 minutes to read them. They're generally asking you to do something. I've come across students who were getting emails from the CEO to say, look at your account, there's something wrong with it. And they just ignored the emails thinking they were spamming them
Yeah.
and ended up then having the points in the CEO first round and not getting an offer because they didn't have their exam number down or whatever the case may be. So correspondence from the CEO, order of preference, they're the two big ones right now. Don't ignore emails. They're asking you to do something. And then you have a statement of application in May. That's important too, where they're going to say, is all the information we have on you correct? And you'll have to tick confirm. So
Okay.
correspondence, order of preference. If you go away from with anything from this podcast, it's those two things. And if you do those two things, you should have a fairly seamless CEO process.
Great.
That's great. Yeah, I'd say, I suppose with that, remember what email you signed up to the CAO with.
Yes.
Um,
Yeah. Yeah, you can use whatever email. So if you want to use a school one or if you use your personal one more, you can absolutely use that. So and there is a forgotten password thing, but for some reason everyone forgets their password for the CEO because I think they have so many characters in it.
oh
So
yeah.
jot that down in your notes or something so you can have it and access it then really quick when you need it.
Yeah, you don't want to be like the day of results come August. You're like, wait, hold on, what's what's my
Yeah,
password
exactly.
again?
Yeah. Actually, just last thing, speaking of results, Nessa, the candidate self-service portal where you access your results closes on the 7th of November at 5 p.m. And you
Okay.
have to register for that if you want to get your results next year. Make sure you've registered for that. It's on examinations.ie. You can register and open up your candidate self-service portal. Another little nugget there for you before we head off.
Oh
Hmm.
yeah, very important. Well, we're saying this podcast probably going out the week that the CAO online application facility opens, and like you said, it closes again on the 1st of February
Yeah.
next year, but then we'll reopen again a couple of months later. Is it always the same day that it opens?
It's May, in around the 5th of May, more or less
Mm.
all the time. Yeah, yeah.
And yeah, and then it closes on the 1st of July again. So yeah, you have time. And like we said, take everything that Donnchadh said from this podcast, take your time, research. Donnchadh, thank you so much once again for coming on the podcast. You're the biggest friend of the Studyclix podcast, I'd say, because you have so much knowledge to share with us. I think it's so important. So I really hope students are listening to this
Hmm.
and they're telling a friend to listen as well, because it is very important information, for everything that you want to do after the Leaving Cert. So I know we kind of spoke about it briefly, but do you want to let the people know where they can find you, Donnchadh, if they want to hear more information about the CAO?
Yeah, so I'm Leaving Cert Guidance on Instagram and TikTok. If you want to, we talk about courses on offer, deadlines coming up, news around education. Follow us there, and you'll be up to date on everything.
Great.
Perfect. And yeah, I'll drop the links for Donnchadh's social media so that you can just click right on them. And I'll do the same for Studyclix, because if you're not following Studyclix on TikTok and Instagram, then do that now and you can see the skits you probably have already seen them. But yeah, make sure you're following Studyclix as well, and follow the podcast as well wherever you're listening, so you're the first to hear about a new episode. And yeah, share this episode with a friend. It would help to spread the word, and hopefully they'll get something really good from it. I was actually sorry for a final point, a treat for people stay listen to the very end, that they can use the code podcast 10 for €10 off any
Yes.
Studyclix upgrade. Little treat for podcast listeners. That's podcast 10. And yeah, I think that's everything. So I would just say my thanks once again to Donnchadh for being a wonderful guest.
Absolutely.
Thanks, Nessa and Andy. Much
Lovely to
appreciated.
meet you.
And Andy, thank you so much for letting me fill in on the podcast.
Thank you.
It was great to host or be part of a very informative podcast. Stay tuned for the next podcast, and bye for now.